Well, Bijan, how does it feel to be a Falcon? It's an amazing feeling, man. I'm excited that Arthur Smith saw the best player available, one of the best players to ever come out of the draft. And this best player available on the Falcons is going to be utilized. What's going on, Falcons fans? Logan here. Welcome back to Rise Up Rundown. And if you're new here, welcome. So this video, not only is the topic super exciting, but what makes this video even more exciting is because I actually hinted in a video not long ago that there was a content creator, well, actually content creators that I was thinking about having on the show. And here they are. We actually have a new Falcons content channel that I actually ran into pretty recently, like mid-March. And it is the Out of Your Falcon Mind podcast. And I think at this point, you guys are pretty familiar with their content. You'll see them on TikTok, YouTube. And I'm just grateful to have you guys on the show. Welcome.
Man, thanks for having us, dude. It was, very nice of you to invite us on. And by the way, that's not Carissa Davis down there at the bottom. That is Mike Cottrell, buddy.
That is me. I don't know why it says that, but hey, I'm flowing with it. My name is not Carissa. My name is Mike. I apologize.
Oh, that's great.
Out of your Falcon mind. I appreciate you for having us, Logan. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, you're welcome. I didn't even think, I didn't even see the Carissa until
I didn't even see that until John
Carissa.
just embarrassed me and pointed it out.
I don't either. I just happened to see it.
I was super excited to have you on the show because it was just kind of nice to see another Falcons channel that had a bit of like that creativity and humor, yet still their, Falcons logic and how they feel if, this happened in the draft and whatnot. And I just, I feel like we need to see a little more of that. Just, Falcons logic and overall thoughts, but also creativity and humor. And it's just really nice to see that you guys add in both of that. And I just wanted to give you a shout out for how cool your show is and thankful to have one of the best channels out there on this channel.
Man, I appreciate you too, man, because the reason why we came on is because we feel like you bring the same thing, man. You have a good time with it. It's not just statistics and you're not boring me to death, man. It's always a fun time. So we appreciate you the same way, buddy.
All right, cool.
100%.
So this video, I was originally going to do like alone, like just a solo video. But then I was like, I feel like I've expressed most of my overall thoughts throughout, the whole entire year. And this video is in my opinion, the 5 most likely first round scenarios that the Falcons could possibly do in the first round. And a lot has changed because before the Jeff Okudah trade, I said that getting a corner at number 8 was, in my opinion, the most likely scenario. Mm-hmm. Well, now it is not. So it's just kind of cool how things change pretty quickly. And I invited them onto the show to just kind of hear, I wanted to hear their opinion on if they think that, for example, let's say Bijan Robinson at 8 is the second most likely scenario they could get in the first round. And I'll just ask them, do you think that's likely to happen? And if so, how would you feel? And then at the end, if they have any other scenarios that I might have missed, we'll just go over that. But with all that being said, we'll get started at number 5, which was originally number 1. In my opinion, I thought that getting a corner first overall was the most likely scenario. Well, now that we got Jeff Okudah, things have changed. I think the Falcons will be a little, not crazy, but just it'd be interesting if they got Jeff Okudah, AJ Terrell, and then Casey Hayward, and then another corner like Devin Witherspoon and Christian Gonzalez. So I'm having that at number 5. I don't want to rule out corner, but I don't think it's as likely as it was. But what do you guys think?
Yeah, man. I was with you. We were both fans of Christian Gonzalez at 8. That's kind of what we wanted. And then the Okudah deal came down, and like you said, it kind of definitely takes down that possibility a little bit more. I mean, with Terry and the way he goes and the way he selects players, like you said, you could never really rule it out because, I mean, Okudah is on a 1-year deal. So, he may not work out. Hopefully he does. But, if he doesn't, I can see if Gonzalez is there and they really view him as like the best player. If that case scenario, Casey Hayward's maybe cut after June 1st at that point, because I think the cornerbacks room is like 50 deep at this point. I mean, there's a ton of corners on the team, but I don't think it's likely now. And with Detroit sending Okudah here, they're probably going to go corner, so they could easily take Witherspoon or Gonzalez. It's probably not going to be the case. But like you said, man, can't rule it out. Terry's a BPA type of guy, so we'll see.
Yep. I'm the same way, man. That's who I wanted. That was my number one guy, but I just don't have it happening now. I think we got the cornerback, so we wouldn't have to address that in the draft. So I'm a little sad that we didn't get him because the film is amazing, but you got to move on if you already have that need filled.
All right. The fourth scenario. Now, this one did not change. I always said that this was our fourth likely scenario. I think possibly a receiver. Now, I don't know if I believe in maybe a receiver at number 8. If they were to get a receiver in the first round, I personally think it would probably be a bit of a trade down to get either Quentin Johnston or Jackson Smith and Jigba, because those are kind of what Arthur Smith likes, like the bigger bodied receivers. But only the fourth likely scenario in my opinion. But what do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, definitely a trade back. I do not want to see a receiver at 8. If you're going to trade back, then do it. Okay. Not my ideal scenario at all. I think you can find later on in the draft, whether it's depending on which way you want to go, Michael Wilson, Jonathan Mingo, those type of guys later on. That'd be kind of my preference. But I mean, it's definitely, and Jigba showed out at the combine. Quentin Johnson, big body, could be nasty as well. So, trade back if you're going to do it. Definitely don't do it at 8. That'd be a bad mistake in my opinion.
And I'm going, don't trade back and do it. Just don't do it. Terry.
Just don't do it. Just don't do it.
He been cooking. I don't want him to add spam in the meal or like noodles or anything like that. He's been cooking so good. That is not a need that we need addressed for the first round of the draft. No way, no how. Even if you trade back, don't do it, Terry.
I'm with you. I would, if we had to get receiver, I would go trade down, but I think it would be just not the ideal thing to do in the first round. So I'm with you on that one. The third one, now I'm souring on this a little bit, but I don't think getting a pass rusher in the first round is out of the picture. But with all of the moves, like with Calais Campbell coming in and David Onyemata, and we did get a pass rush specialist in Ryan Nielsen. So I'm thinking if they got a pass rusher, maybe Jalen Carter possibly lands at number 8, or I don't think it'll happen, but maybe Tyree Wilson somehow would land at 8. I don't think so, but maybe. The only way I think we could get Will Anderson is if we trade up with the Cardinals, but I don't see that happening. But they have a new pass rush specialist, defensive coordinator. Maybe they want to get this new guy a new tool to work with. And the Falcons know pass rush is a weakness. They tried to address that, but could they still do it in the first round? Possibility, but I'm souring on it a little bit. But what do you guys think?
You'll take this one, Mike.
So I want to first ask you, Logan, why are you souring on it? I have to hear this out because we have no pass rush. So I want to know why you're souring on it.
I think that with the moves with Calais Campbell, David Onyemata, I don't think the Falcons told the world we're not going pass rush in the first round, but I do think that they've made a lot of moves to where I'm like, I don't know. I feel like getting another pass rusher in the first round is not impossible, but they address pass rush a lot. Now, that's not me saying that pass rush is fixed, that we still need help. Calais Campbell's not quite who he once was, though I'm grateful to have him. And David Onyemata is good, but I just feel like with the moves that we've made in the offseason, I feel like they're not set with pass rush necessarily, but just kind of like, you know, and also the Falcons love to go pass rush later in the draft, like with Arnold Ebiketie, and I know it didn't work out, but Marlon Davidson and but I mean, not out of the picture, I guess, but that's why I was souring a little bit.
I got you. So I think that for the reasons you said that they brought in the veterans, I would love to see Jalen Carter there because I think with the trouble that he was in, and then he just being a young dude, he would benefit so much from those veterans, man. They get in, man, these people are on their way out. They got a few good years left to provide him with some wisdom and some knowledge about how to be a professional. I think Jalen Carter would be amazing if he was under their tutelage. I think he would go great for an interior pass rush, which, you know, John always says so rare in the NFL. I think if he's available at 8, I would love to go Jalen Carter.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. If Jalen's happens to fall, which we talked about it last night on our show, actually, I don't see him making it that far. I think Seattle probably snatches him up, maybe even Detroit. I just saw today, I don't know if you guys saw this, Houston apparently is not sold at quarterback at 2, that DeMeco Ryans really likes Will Anderson. And so they could go Will Anderson, which is a wrinkle in the whole thing because the whole time we're thinking, you know, Bryce Young or CJ Stroud or something like that to Houston. But I mean, it's going to depend on how it falls. The film I've watched on all of the pass rushers, nobody's just jumped off the screen at me like, oh, we got to have that guy at 8. Like nobody. Like they're all a bit of a project in their own right. So it's just a matter of like if Nielsen thinks and looks at Tyree Wilson, if he's there and says, man, I can really like that's my Cam Jordan. I can make that dude, you know, top notch pass rusher. You know, that's the only way I see that really happen. And I like Lucas Van Ness. I don't like him at 8. You know, Miles Murphy flashes off and on, like super athlete, but I don't like that at 8 either. So I'm kind of with you, dude. I mean, I think that the way that Terry's kind of built this team in the offseason, he's kind of set himself up to really, truly go BPA, whatever he thinks is going to be the best fit at 8, whether it's a need, quote unquote, or not. I just don't want to see him reach for a need, you know what I mean, when there's maybe a better proven talent that's not necessarily a need at 8 that we could add to the team. So
I can agree with that. I also agree with how if we had Jalen Carter and Calais Campbell and we could, I mean, you know, I don't want to act like I know Jalen Carter like that personally or anything, but it sounds like we could maybe use like a bit of a coach and mentor for that off-field stuff. So, you know, and he's also playing for the state of Georgia. If he were here, like, you know, maybe, I don't know, maybe he changes his mindset with all the veterans around him. And we'll see what happens. So on my list, I wish I switched this around before I started the video because I probably would have changed it. But for now, I got the second most likely scenario is Bijan Robinson at 8. Now, for me personally, it's not the player that's the problem. It's just the position. Because running back is probably our biggest strength, or one of the biggest strengths. And then, you know, we already run the ball well. I think this Falcons team still has a lot more needs than just running back, but Terry Fontenot is a best player available guy. And if they thought that Bijan Robinson was the best player available, I guess I can't really argue with it. But what do you guys think?
So I had a model girlfriend. The only thing that's like better than that is 2. The only thing that's better than that is 2 model girlfriends. And I feel like with Bijan, like John always say, we could put him in the slot, he can block, and we would not like run Tyler into the ground. I think that Bijan is such a weapon. I don't know how you stop that. Like my man said on our show last night, I don't know how you stop that with Kyle Pitts and Drake, with Tyler and Bijan. The same thing that we doing on defense, I'm amazed by. I would be amazed by offensive. I don't know how you stop that if we got Bijan, but I do agree with you, kind of Logan, that it is a strength. So that's why you don't want to like add to something you're already strong at. But his talent is so dynamic. I just don't know how you pass if he's available at 8.
Yeah, and I mean, when we talked about this a month and a half ago or so, I was so out on it. I was like, no, we're not doing a running back at 8. And I saw a little bit of him. I hadn't really watched film on him yet. So then I go and watch this all 22 film. I'm like, holy hell, this guy is way different than I thought he was. And that kind of changed my mind a little bit. So I don't know that I'd personally do it at 8. I'm not gonna be mad if they do, though. I can totally understand why. I mean, Tyler was great, man. You found a steal. That was my dude going into last year's drafts. And you found a steal in the 5th round. Caleb coming off that Achilles, you'd never know how that's going to go. And then CP is what, 32, will be 33, and he did slow down at the end of the season, and that's just, I mean, you're going to at that age and that much, tread on the tires. So I can see a scenario, man, where and if they trade back, I don't know if Bijan gets past Philly, and that Philly would be scary as hell with him in that offense. So I don't want to see that. But so I don't know if you could really trade back that far to get him if you want him, if that's the play. But yeah, like Mike said, you can line him up. You can't look at him necessarily kind of like Pitts, right? You can't look at Pitts as just a tight end. You can put him in a slot, you can move him around, and it's kind of the same thing you can do with Bijan. And he can, amazing pass catcher. His vision, just everything about the way he runs is amazing. But you also look in the back end of the draft, you can catch his backup, Roschon Johnson. There's Jahmyr Gibbs. There's a list of running backs that could fit our scheme seamlessly as well. So for really Terry and Arthur, man, they have to figure out, do they really believe that Bijan's going to be responsible for 1 or 2, maybe even 3 wins on his own? I mean, like really push him over the edge, take it to the house type of guy. If they believe that, then they'll take him. If they believe that there can be no drop off, if they take a guy in the 3rd to 5th round to pair with Tyler, then I mean it's kind of a no lose situation, to be honest. Like I said, I'm not going to be mad at it. I don't know that I would personally do it. Just it depends on who's there, man. Like if all the good defensive options are kind of gone, if Jalen's gone, if Tyree Wilson's off the board, I mean, that I wouldn't be mad about it. Let's put it that way.
Yep, I'm with you on that. If all the defensive options are out, then I'd be like, all right, let's get Bijan.
Yeah, let's roll, man. I mean, you can't. I mean, it'd be a show, man. The offense would be a show for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
It'd be exciting as hell. Yeah,
for sure. So I probably, if I made my notes a little, before we start recording, that would probably be number 1. But there's a scenario that I at first thought was incredibly crazy. I was like, you got to be kidding. Like, they literally said to the media that Desmond Ridder was going to be the starter for the year, and then they picked up Taylor Heineke. And I'm sorry, Lamar Jackson fans, but I don't think we're going to get Lamar Jackson if you're watching this. So it's kind of quiet at the moment. It's not like a super trendy topic right now, but I've seen it float around a little bit, and I probably would switch this number 2 thinking about it. Some people have been saying we could trade up to get Anthony Richardson. So I was out on this in the beginning because I was like, we literally just said that Desmond Ridder was going to be the starter for the year, and we got Taylor Heineke. But if Terry Fontenot sees best player available somehow with him, and it's like, because, Desmond Ridder was only a 3rd round quarterback. Anthony Richardson, regardless of where he's drafted, I imagine he's going to be in the 1st round. Mm-hmm. And Taylor Heineke is not, I mean, we're happy to have him, but he's not a franchise quarterback. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot are like, maybe we shouldn't pass on a possible franchise quarterback here. And he probably doesn't have to start right away. You could probably have Desmond Ridder start, like they said. And if you don't get anything from your 3rd round quarterback, I can kind of see Anthony Richardson coming in. Now, it's not a super trendy topic at the moment, but I've seen it float around a little bit. And if Jeff Okudah surprised me, if Calais Campbell surprised me, if all these moves surprise me, I can't really say that getting a quarterback can surprise me, but let me know what you guys think.
I mean, I'm doing this. If I would never trade up for a quarterback. But if I'm trading up for a quarterback, I'm only trading up for Bryce Young. I would never trade up for anyone else. And the reason why I wouldn't trade up for a quarterback, if we have the 8th pick and Bijan is available, then I don't think you need a dynamic quarterback. So there's no need to trade all your picks and all the future stock in the team equity. You don't need to do that. If you take him at 8, then like the quarterback can just be Alex Smith. He can be serviceable because you have so many weapons. He can be serviceable. You don't need a wild quarterback if you have all these weapons. So I don't do that. If you name him the starter, which I wouldn't have done so early, but if you named him the starter, I don't think you go quarterback. And especially you don't trade up unless you're going Bryce Young. You don't trade up for anyone with Bryce Young. I'm total disagreement with that. Take Bijan at 8 if you want an offensive weapon, and then your quarterback can be regular.
Yeah. Yeah, Mike asked me last night on the show straight up. He's asked me if I would trade up for Bryce Young because I'm also an Alabama fan, just so you know. So like I'm a big Bryce Young fan. And I said no because the cost alone would be a ton because he's probably you're looking at trading up to probably 1 or 2, right? More than likely to get him. So no, Richardson, man. And we've talked about it on the show. We did an entire show on quarterbacks alone, on like where they were drafted compared to their success in the NFL. I think right now in the NFL, there's like 19 for starting quarterbacks that were selected in the first round. So a little over half. And then the other ones are spread out second, third, not a whole lot of third rounds. I mean, there's a couple of them, but they're very rare. So, I mean, what we saw from Dez in those last 4 games, nothing scared me away to think that he doesn't have what it takes, especially from the neck up to get the job done. So especially when Arthur's offense, we know we're run heavy offense. We're not relying on the pass all that much. So I'm not, like Mike said, we don't dynamic thrower with that dynamic passer, which also goes to your point. I mean, Anthony Richardson wasn't really a dynamic passer at Florida. I mean, like he's got a ridiculous arm, but his completion percentages were 55%, right around that range. So not great. He showed obviously he tested as an athletic freak. We all knew that, and he is an athletic freak. So I think the only way that happens is, like you said, they bring him in. He sits for an entire year behind Desmond. If Desmond shows out, he's the guy. Use him for trade bait. If he's not, then you possibly have your quarterback there. It's a huge risk regardless because the hit rates on quarterbacks are just so low. And even in the first round, I mean, like it's tough to not take. And it's hard to even say that Bryce is a proven come on because he's not either. I mean, none of these guys are guaranteed to do well in the NFL. But it's just that's a tough one for me, man. Like I would, and then you have this weird dynamic with Desmond because you've told him he's the starter, and like there's that's going on. So it'd be weird, man. It'd be strange. Again though, you can't rule anything out. Like it's with if you learned anything from Terry in these first 2 years, is do not be surprised about anything. So you never know.
All right. So it sounds like you two are pretty sold at Bijan at 8. But my last question is there any possible first round scenario that I might have missed that you think could happen?
I say we bring Matt Ryan out of retirement and have him lead us to the Super Bowl, buddy.
I think that's possible. You never know.
Man, that'd be insane. Go ahead, Mike.
No, I don't think it's anything that you missed, buddy. I would say the only thing, just me personally, because I'm out of my Falcon mind, I will want Matt Ryan to be our backup quarterback. I will scream that into the ground. I just want him to be the backup and for our starter to get hurt and him lead us to the Super Bowl in like a 2-minute drill. That's all I want to see.
Yeah, Mike is Matt's biggest fan ever to walk the earth. So that's why he wants that to happen. But
I don't think you skipped any. I don't think that you said. I don't think there's anything that you missed. It's going to be one of those 5.
The only possible thing I could see, and I don't know that I would go this way either, but is if they did go offensive line at 8, and they or traded back a little bit for either Peter Skoronski, Paris Johnson, one of those guys, because we do have a need at left guard. I mean, like is it going to be? I mean, Wilkinson signed with I think the Cardinals, so I mean, like he's gone. So we're gonna let Matt Hennessy try it, or we're going to try to fill it as a free agent type signing after and maybe later on. So Cody Mock, he could be somebody you take in the second round who showed out at the Senior Bowl and was a great talent this last year. I think North Dakota State, but definitely not a sexy pick. I mean, you're not going to have a lot of Falcons fans just like going crazy over an offensive guard at 8 or even 10, 12 or whatever. But it would be efficient. I mean, like I would understand it. Again, you're a run heavy team. You need an offensive line to be solid, man. So and somebody like that could happen. I don't think it's super likely, but it wouldn't shock me. I mean, there's not honestly, tight end is about the only thing that would shock me is if we went tight end at 8 or traded back for it. But yeah, that'd be the only scenario, offensive line possibly.
Well, if we had to trade up, I think we would have to give a player to a team, and that player would be our superstar Jalen Mayfield. You just never know. You just never know. Everyone's going to look for Jalen Mayfield. But I think the Falcons are pretty confident that Jalen Mayfield's going to be our left guard.
Oh, man. I don't. Hopefully,
Logan, I have a question, buddy.
Hope that low back is better.
So I have a question, Logan. It's just a good question. It's specifically for you. All right, Logan, here's the scenario. You can pick, all right, any Falcon who's ever played for the Falcons, and you can bring them back at the peak of their talent for 1 year to help this specific team for next season. Who are you bringing back at the peak of their talent for 1 year to help this specific team for next season, and why?
I'm gonna have to go with if we had AJ Terrell, Jesse Bates, and Deion Sanders.
Oh, come on, Logan. I love you, buddy.
Really, really cool.
That would
be amazing. Yeah.
Literally, I don't know how you can have a better secondary than that.
That's awesome, Logan. I love it.
Not at all.
Yeah. Deion Sanders, unfortunately, I wasn't alive to see him play, but I'm sure the hype was real.
Oh, it was real.
Well, we were kids, but that's when Mike and I both started watching. It was around like 1990, 1991. That's when we both started watching, and that was like, who is this dude? Because we never, we were just getting into football, and like, yeah, he was the reason that we, other than just being in Atlanta, he was the reason that
great pick, Logan. I love it.
Yeah, hell of it.
It's not even just the talent, but just like he would bring in great locker room chemistry, like the dancing, it would get the crowd hyped up. Like you just can't. I mean, come on, like. Yes. But I think that's it. Thank you guys for your thoughts and for being on the show. And do you guys want to plug up before we leave, or
Johnny?
Yeah, man. No, Logan, man. Thanks so much for having us, dude. It was fun. We would love to come back, man. We'll have to get you on our show one day if you
for sure
want to come hang out for like an hour and a half too, because how long we seem to go.
But for sure.
Dude, we get talking, the chat gets involved, it gets crazy, but we have a great time with it. But anyway, yeah, guys, you can follow us on Twitter. We're Out of Your F-in Mind, just F in Mind. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel just Out of Your Falcon Mind. We do shows in the off season. We've been doing them on Wednesdays, and we've had some pop-up shows depending on free agency, depending on what happens. We will be live streaming the draft on the 27th. So Logan, you're welcome to come through, dude. We're going to just be chilling, watching the draft, talking about it. So for all three, however long hours it lasts, we'll be just hanging out. Our 100th episode is actually next Wednesday at 7 p.m. We're going to have, again, dude, you're welcome to come by. We're going to have tons of guests coming through that's been on our show and just we're going to open it up for the chat to come in, just have a blast. We're totally prepared to go like 3 hours because it could be crazy, but we're going to have a blast with that. During the season, we do preview shows for the upcoming game, normally on Thursdays, and we do a recap either Sundays, depending on how the game goes, or Mondays. And then we just try to put out content throughout the year, man. We don't stop. So in the off season, we kept it going. And then, like you said earlier, Mike, Mike runs our Instagram and our TikTok account. He puts out some hilarious stuff, some great videos. We've got some skits on YouTube, 10 Stages of Falcons Fan. You got to see that. A little drug that Mike pushed called Don't Know Shit at All. So go check that one out. That's our most recent one. It's all in fun, but yeah, I mean, again, man, that's where you can find us. And Logan, again, thanks, dude. Mike, you got anything, buddy?
No, I just wanted to say, man, we appreciate you, Logan, in the same way that you respect us for bringing fun to it. I just want to tell you, keep what you're doing, man, because there's a lot of content creators that cover the Falcons that are boring as hell. I just want to be honest with you, and we love what you're doing because you do bring fun to it and some entertainment as well as some information. So thank you, buddy. We appreciate you, and we respect you too, man.
And just being, having that positive content. That's what you want to see, because there's a lot of fans in this fan base that are kind of negative. So just the more positive, the better, man. So so being real, but all positive.
Man, we respect you for always keeping it positive and keeping it light and having it be fun to watch as well as informative, man. We love you for that.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate the support, and your 100th episode. I'll definitely tune in.
You gotta pop in, Logan. Come on, buddy. We need you.
I'm excited. Sounds really good. And of course, I'll always be wishing you the best of luck with your stuff too, because your stuff is amazing. And the energy and the humor and all the personality you bring into it is something that we all need in no matter what time we're in. So thank you for what you do.
I appreciate you, man.
Thank
Very
you
much.
so much,
Appreciate
brother.
it. Yeah, man.
Well, everyone else,
Mine.
stay safe and rise up.